Hello fellow book nerds, this is Gabby and today I'm going to be talking about my reader's journey. So this tag slash storytelling time was created by Nicole from Nicole and Her Books, who actually has tagged me, so thank you so much. And she's amazing. You guys really should check out her channel. She comes out with so many interesting videos and I just love the whole aesthetic of her channel, so definitely go check her out. So what this tag is, it's kind of, it doesn't have a set questions, but it has questions that are supposed to prompt you a little bit to talk about your journey as a reader. I think it's an amazing idea for book tag, and I loved hearing Nicole talk about her reading journey and really made me think about my reading journey. First section is kind of diving into like childhood reading. So one of the questions is like the first book you remember reading, and I don't really remember reading that many books when I was young, although I think I did, but the first book I remember my mom reading to me was Winnie the Pooh. So I remember loving Winnie the Pooh when I was a kid. Like, honestly, he was my spirit animal. I loved him so much. And I had a little storybook with pictures on that. So my mom read that to me when I was little. But then I remember once I got a bit older, we bought the actual Winnie the Pooh book. Maybe I had to do it for school. Maybe it was just for fun. I don't remember. But I remember my mom reading it to me. I remember thinking it's not as amazing as the storybook because it was just a completely different format, and when you're a kid it's a bit harder to stay alert when you don't have pretty pictures. But I remember my mom reading that to me and she did voices and she really went for it, so I'm very thankful. But that's the first book I remember ever reading. Once I was 7 years old, I started going to my primary school, and my primary school was literally just 4 buildings away from my house, so it was less than a 5-minute walk. And next to my primary school was my kindergarten. So my kindergarten had this really cool library. It was tiny now that I think about it, but when I was little I felt like they had lots of really cool books, and the librarian was really nice. She was a super nice lady. So on my way from school I would always like kind of go to the library and pick up some books at least twice a week, sometimes every other day, sometimes every day, because I'd borrow a book, I'd read it and I return it. And you know, back then I was reading children's book or like middle grade, so they were like super thin, so I could read like one a day. A really avid reader when I was little. I would walk down my stairs and read, which I'm surprised I'm not dead because my stairs are have really sharp edges, so the chances of me tripping and falling down the stairs were so high. I legit am happy nothing serious ever happened. I did slip a couple times, but nothing really serious happened. I would eat and read, and my grandma always say, "You're gonna eat your memory." I don't know where she got that from, but anyway. Instead of watching TV, I'd read, and like I had lots of time. And you know, when you were a kid, especially if you're not a kid in this day and age, I didn't have a computer till I was 15, 14. So really, what do? Like, you either watch TV or you read. So I would read. My mom always laughed how much I love reading. It's not that my family don't read at all, but they know definitely not avid readers. Now my sister's kind of getting into reading as well, but when I was young, like, that was kind of normal. But I get a lot of books for gifts and all that, so I was glad of my reputation. Some of the books I'd read when I was a kid, it was like Anne of Green Gables. I remember vividly reading the Artemis Fowl books. I remember reading the story about this girl who got cloned. Like, she had so many clones, and it's like books were like numbers of the clones. Like, it was really cool. I don't remember its title. I had my first Harry Potter. So when the last book, the Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows, came out, I was with my dad in the store and it was just there, and I was like, Dad, can you get it for me? And he was like, okay. So he got me that one, but I haven't had any of the previous ones, and I didn't read any of the previous one. So I actually checked just before this, because I was like, oh yeah, I got into Harry Potter when I was a bit older, because that's what my memory says. But actually I got into Harry Potter as this last book came out, so that was 2007. So that's actually only 10 years old. So I started reading Harry Potter when I was 10 years old, and my uncle had all of the books, so he graciously lent them to me. And as soon as I read it one time, I bought one by one, I bought all the Harry Potter books and reread it so many times. But yeah, I was 10 when I started reading Harry Potter, so I definitely remember that being like a really big book for me. I remember reading Aragorn. Back then, you know, I didn't have many recommendations, so I just kind of like go to the library and like whatever looked good, I get that. Like, basically whatever cover looked interesting to me and the premise sounded interesting, and I often ask the librarian like what's new, what she recommend and all that. But honestly I could like go there for half an hour and just like stand and try to choose which one I'm gonna like, because I'm picky like that. And my mom was just like, where the hell were you? But at some point she caught on I was in the library, so it was all good. So when I was a teen, I remember still reading a lot, especially till the age of like 14, 15. And that's when I started reading my first English books in English. So I'd find them in like thrift shops and get them. So that really helped with my English, and it made me proficient enough in English to be to go to an English school. Then I started high school when I was about 16, and I think that at that point, because I moved for high school, I moved away from home, and you know, when it's the excitement of starting new school, I don't think I read as much. I don't remember at least reading as much. But then when I was around 17, 18, I want to say, which is like 4 or 5 years ago, I discovered BookTube. So basically I remember I read a book and it had like it was one of like YA, I don't even know, maybe it was like, I don't think it was Mortal Instruments, but it was one, like a similar type of book. And I remember reading it and like being confused by the ending or something like that. And I typed it into research bar, just trying to find the ending, and I found the review. And I think it was Christine's review actually. After finding the review, I just started watching more and more videos, and then that's how I discovered BookTube. So I think I've been here about 4 or 5 years. Then I discovered Goodreads around the year 2015. That really reignited my love of reading, because I think if I didn't discover BookTube, I would have just kind of stopped reading in high school and I wouldn't be an avid reader right now. Maybe I'd read an occasional book once or twice. I think around that time I got a Kindle, which just saved my life. I think I never would have read as much as I did during those years if I didn't have my Kindle. And some of the books I read back then were really basic. Like I loved Twilight. I was a huge Twilight fan. I read Twilight and the little novella with, oh, what's the name, like recent, like Weird Life or whatever, whatever. I really liked that one. I read The Host. So many YA books. I don't really remember, like, and Shatter Me, all the big YA series you can think of, Hunger Games, Percy Jackson. I read all of those. I think Percy Jackson's like middle grade, but anyway, I read it at that time. So anything basic you can think of, because brand, basic. Anything basic you can think of, yeah. I probably read it at that time, and it was great. I loved it. I guess next chapter of my life would be going to university. So in my first year of university, I legit did not read, like I read maybe 2 books a year. And that happened actually after my best reading year of all time, when I read about 70 books, because between going into high school and going to university, over the summer I worked in an ice cream shop. Quite a cold summer. It wasn't cold, but it wasn't really hot, so we didn't have that many customers. So it was basically just me reading books. So I read 70 books that year, I think. But my following years in uni were way better. Now I'm back into reading in full swing. Already suppressed my Goodreads goal this year. I think BookTube's really motivating me to read, because I feel a bit more accountability, and also I just like talking to you guys about the books I read. Like if I read 2 books a month, I can't really talk to you about it. So that's why I think it's been really good for me. My favorite genre is fantasy. It's always been and always will be. I love fantasy movies, I love fantasy books across all ages. Now I'm really, I love YA, but I'm really into adult fantasy as well. I think I'm getting more into that, and like high fantasy. It used to be like urban fantasy, but now I'm definitely more into high fantasy. Like high fantasy is my jam now. That's mainly what I read. I used to read a lot of contemporaries. I don't really do that anymore. It's not that I don't enjoy them or anything wrong with them. I think just I used to read a lot of contemporaries, but not the romance or anything like that. More like heavy hitting contemporaries. I read a lot of contemporaries about mental health, eating disorders, and chronic diseases. They were some of the best reads in my life, and definitely the most impactful reads in my life. And I do want to get back into reading those kind of stories as well, because I think they're very important for my personal development and just kind of general awareness. But I've gotten this kind of aversion to being sad recently. I'm just like, I don't want to depress myself. Like, I just want to be happy when I read, and I don't want to cry. I just want to enjoy my time when I'm reading. So I kind of started reading like romance contemporaries, but they are great in very small dosage, like one a month maybe, one every couple months, and I'm happy. I love crime. I think I used to read way less crime than I do right now. So there's a question about like books I read back in school. So honestly, when I was like in my primary, secondary school, I don't really remember much of the books I was reading. I do remember them, but they were Polish classics, so like Krzyżacy or Pan Tadeusz. Like they're size of bricks. Very, very old books. Despite the fact that it's my native language, I have to focus so hard on reading them. When I was in high school, I was doing International Baccalaureate, which is IB, which is kind of like a program. So that was my high school, and actually on my English, we talked about Kite Runner and we talked about To Kill a Mockingbird, and I think those were some of the most impactful books I've read in my whole entire life. I think they really shaped the way I think, and they had such a strong impact on me because both of them are very hard-hitting and they talk about some very difficult issues, but both are amazing, and that's really impacted me a lot. I'm just gonna do a couple of the last questions and like read them out and kind of give a quick answer. Do I listen to audiobooks? Yes, I started earlier this year. So the reason I actually got into audiobooks was my first ever audiobook was the second installment in Game of Thrones. So I wanted to listen to it on audiobook because I really wanted to complete the series, and I love the TV show so much. Let's not talk about the last season, but anyway, I love the series, so I thought, you know, it'd be a good way to connect more, and like I knew a lot about the books anyway because I watch a lot of YouTube videos discussing the theories and the connections and blah blah blah, but I read the first book physically, and honestly, I don't remember struggling that much for a book. It was just it was too dense, too long, too hard to read. It was just hard for me. So I thought maybe I'll try an audiobook for the second book, and it was amazing. Like I really liked the audiobook. I liked the narrator. He won like an award for making the most voices or something like that. Then I got my free Audible subscription because you can get it for like a month or 3 months, I think. So I got it. I listened to a couple more books, and then I was like, okay, I'm not spending money on audiobooks. I'm just gonna cancel my subscription. And they get you because they're like, oh, are you sure you want to cancel your subscription? How about instead of doing that, for the next 3 months you get it for like £4 or like ridiculously cheap. And I was just like, what? Oh no, I think it was literally like £2 or like £1.99 or £1, ridiculously cheap for 3 months. And I was like, well, I might as well, because you can save the audiobooks you bought. I can just listen to them later. And that's how they hooked me, and now I'm hooked. I did cancel my subscription because I had so many books that I already bought and I haven't listened yet. So I decided first I'm gonna catch up on those, and then I'm gonna actually make a script account and see if I like it better, and then I can kind of compare and contrast, and then I can decide which one I want to spend my money on. Long story short, which I said it would be, I listen to audiobooks and I love audiobooks now. Buying books or using libraries. I think libraries are more sustainable, but I love owning books. So do you read one book at a time or multiple books at once? I try to do one, but sometimes I end up reading multiple. Physical ebooks or audiobooks? I don't know. Physical just cause, but honestly, I read a book in any format and enjoy it, so. How has your reading changed, like reading habits and reading views change over the years? So, like everyone, when I was younger, I was like much less critical. I just kind of read it, and if I enjoyed it, then that was great. That was it. That was 5 stars or 4. To be fair, I'm not that generous. I'm not an extreme kind of person. So I rarely give 5 stars, and I rarely give, like, I almost never give a 1 star. Because I'm a very middle of the road kind of person. So yeah, I used to be way less critical and kind of take it at a face value. So I learned to be a bit more critical, a bit more skeptic about what I'm reading, and I'm trying to analyze it a little bit more. And I definitely try to like understand the underlying message or what the author is trying to tell me, because I'm reading books like To Kill a Mockingbird or even, I don't know, Nevernight or Harry Potter. Like there's always, at least I hope, I like it when there's something more to it and there's a message, and I love when a book makes me really like question things and really think through what's happening. I'm really definitely looking more for those kind of books. I used to really just read whatever I felt like, really a mood reader, and I still am. I still definitely a mood reader, and when I can just pick whatever book that's when I'm the happiest. But now I definitely like go off people's reviews, and I go check on Goodreads if it's well rated before I buy the book. And I think I'm more maybe superficial in that way, because I used to just pick something up, and I know, okay, maybe picking up of a cover is more superficial, but at the same time I had no preconception of what the book is supposed to make me feel like. I didn't know about the problematic stuff, or I didn't read up on it if there was any, and I didn't know. I feel like I can get a bit influenced by other people, so if someone tells me they didn't like it, I will go even more skeptical into it. So it definitely used to be less like that, because I didn't have the access to Goodreads, I didn't have access to BookTube, so just pick up whatever I felt like and then I see how I feel about it. So I kind of like to do that a bit more now, and maybe pick up books that aren't as hyped up, go to like charity shop and just pick up a book. And I do that still. For me, if I spend money on a book, I want to be sure that I want the book. But now that I'm using my library again, hopefully I can just go to a library, see a book and be like, huh, that looks interesting, and just kind of read that. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. It was so much fun to film. I haven't had like just a chat kind of thing that many times on this channel. Is mostly tags, but this tag was way less structured, so it felt like just a chat. Thank you so much to Nicole for tagging me. Keep being amazing, and I love your channel. If you want to do this tag, I tag you. I'm gonna think about some people and tag them below, because I didn't do that before because I forgot. But if you want to do it, I'm tagging you. Please tell me your reader's journey. Link it down in the comments so I can watch it. But yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please like, subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Bye!